Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. So, just as we thought, the ceasefire talks had failed. They barely lasted a whole day, and it was a total shambles, guys. It was completely shambles. You had JD Vance going in, and apparently there's a story that he tried to call Trump 21 times. And guess what President Trump was doing? He was in a UFC match, watching a UFC fight. And when he went to the UFC, people were booing, by the way. There was so much booing. And he also took Rubio with him as well. And and in the middle of the negotiation, in the middle of a wartime scenario, you would think that President Trump and Rubio would put a lot of effort and time into, having this kind of ceasefire. But no, they didn't take it seriously, guys. They didn't take it seriously at all. They don't care if the world burns or if there's World War III or if there's some sort of nuclear Armageddon. As long as they watch their UFC match, that they'll be happy, right? So it's absolutely crazy watching Trump in the middle of a UFC match. So apparently, JD Vance tried to call Trump 21 times, and he couldn't get hold of him. So he tried to get hold of Netanyahu, and apparently Netanyahu was giving him orders, was giving him instructions rather than Trump. This is like a clown show, guys. Absolute hilarious clown show. What are these guys doing? These guys are not serious. And then you have those two Israeli spies, Jared Kushner and Witkoff. They were both smiling at the press conference when JD Vance said, "Oh, we didn't come to any agreement." And you can see these two guys at the back smirking. They were just basically smiling, almost like they were happy there was no agreement or you know peace talks done. Basically, it was absolutely crazy, guys. It was just watching absolute clown show. These people are not serious at all. Not serious at all. And now things are going to escalate. And as you can see from this picture, CENTCOM has said that they are going to take up Trump's orders of blockading ships coming out of the Hormuz Strait. So what Trump has said in his Truth Social is any ship that comes through the Hormuz Strait will be blocked. So basically, this means he's going to hold the world hostage. So any ship that pays the 2 million toll fee and goes through will be basically stopped. There's a lot of ships that go through that don't pay the toll. For example, the Chinese ships, Russian ships. I think some Pakistani ships go through without paying toll. Looks like Trump may stop those. So I dare him to stop a Chinese ship and see what happens. Actions like this would cause World War III. So imagine if Trump starts stopping Chinese ships and starts sinking in some Chinese ships coming out of the Hormuz Strait. China's not going to take things lightly. The first thing China's going to do is take over Taiwan immediately. They are not going to waste time. I know there's some peace talks and stuff going on, but you know, when there's a war situation, you gotta take these uh, drastic situations, and you gotta basically take drastic actions. And if they don't take Taiwan, then Taiwan will be used as a battleground to attack China, and they might even put some nukes on Taiwan as well. So they have to take that island as soon as possible if there's any war with the United States. Secondly, China will have to start sending its submarines out to the Indian Ocean and start sinking these American ships that are sinking the Chinese ships. So there's going to be a full-on battle in the open sea with American and Chinese Navy. So it looks like Trump wants something like this, the way he's acting, So basically, he's going to increase the price of oil because at the moment, Iran is letting ships through which are not its enemies, you know, countries like China, Russia, Pakistan, and few other Muslim countries who are not enemies or who are not used to attack Iran. So the ones which are blocked are, GCC countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and any other American or Israeli ships that are going through there. But every other ship is pretty much going through, and there are some ships which are paying a toll, which are going through as well. So this is going to destroy the world's economy. This is going to destroy the Indian economy, Asian economy in Southeast Asia, Africa. Because what this means is, America's going to block every single ship that's coming through. So let's look at this, how he's gonna do this, because this is a map of the Iranian missile. So how is he going to block these ships? Because you can see the massive Indian Ocean here, right? And it's going to be absolutely impossible, guys, because America does not have a big enough navy to be able to stop ships in the open ocean. And there's going to be a lot of ships that are actually going through. So it's going to be almost impossible. America's going to be spending a lot of money trying to chase down ships, basically. So good luck to them if they think they can do it. I don't think they can, but really, really good luck to them. But if any ships come within range of the Iranian missiles, they'll be taken out immediately. And I hope they do anyway. So let's talk about the next story. So Viktor Orban has been voted out of Hungary. It's a bit of a shame, really, because I'll be honest with you guys, I actually liked Viktor Orban, even though he's a Zionist. His only mistake is he's been getting too close to Trump, and he's also been getting very close to Netanyahu. Apart from that, he's actually been a very good leader for Hungary. He's actually brought them forward. He's brought in a lot of China's investments in Hungary. He's improved the economy of Hungary. He fought against all the Ukrainian laws and all the other stuff they wanted to do with Ukraine. He's the only one that fought against it. So I do appreciate him for doing that. But I don't appreciate him getting very close to Netanyahu and Trump. Because apparently in this election, there was a video played of Netanyahu supporting Orban, and Netanyahu's son actually was there to help Orban as well. So if you're basically aligned with a war criminal, Netanyahu, and another war criminal, Trump, then your political career is pretty much over. And this is one of the biggest mistakes Orban has done. And unfortunately, Hungarian people are not stupid, so they can see what's happening around the world. They don't want to be associated with Trump. They don't want to be associated with Netanyahu. And throughout the world, you can see lots of Zionists who are getting voted out. For example, in Holland, there was a Zionist guy called, I think it was Gert or something, and he looked a bit like Max Zorin from a Bond villain from James Bond, A View to a Kill. I don't know if you guys have seen him, Max Zorin. He looks a bit like that. And he got voted out. And there's a lot of Zionist politicians are getting voted out all over the world because people are waking up. People are waking up against about the evils of Zionism and how they control the governments and how they control the public and how they own all the media and all the evil that they do. So people are definitely waking up. So if you're in bed with the Zionists, you pretty much get voted out, guys. It's not really a plus in politics anymore. Even though people are waking up about APAC in America as well, and next generation of youngsters who are growing up, who are going to go into politics, they will realize, aligning yourself with APAC is just going to be career suicide. I think in the future APAC will disappear because nobody will want APAC money, and anybody that does take APAC money probably won't be allowed to go into Congress or be voted in, and people will definitely not vote it in because they'll think these guys are basically puppets of Israel. So let's look at the next story. So as I said earlier, there's a lot of peace talks going on between China and the KMT party of the island of Taiwan. But this is not the first time they've had this meeting. They had this meeting many times over the past. There was not many media coverage of this previously because, you know, I think the media and the West knew that there was no chance of reunification, even though they were speaking at the time. But there's a lot of media coverage about this right now. And I think there's a lot of media coverage about it because I think the West are getting scared that there might be reunification between China and the island of Taiwan. And it might be coming very soon, especially the next elections, I think, is 2028. And if the KMT win in the 2028 election, I'm pretty sure that Taiwan will be completely joined with mainland China. And the problem is, I'm not even sure KMT will win in 2028, you see, because the DPP party have been winning the last few elections. And as you know, Americans have been pouring a lot of money into the DPP. Israel has as well. A lot of Western countries also doing it. And there could be some election fraud as well. So they might not ever allow KMT party to win. That's what I'm saying. They might be doing some dirty tricks in the island of Taiwan. They might not ever allow KMT to win because they know if they allow KMT to win, then that would be unification between mainland China and the island. So that's my theory. I don't think they will be allowed to win because right now the island of Taiwan has been completely taken over by these pro-West crazy separatists, and they are being funded by Japan and America and many other countries as well. It's going to be very, very difficult for KMT to win. Even if they win, I think there's going to be lots of voting fraud, and I think there'll be, you know, they won't, even if they win, they won't be allowed to win. Let's just put it that way. So, I mean, I really hope they can do it peacefully, but I'm just not. I just don't have that. I mean, you can see what's happening around the world, guys. You can see, all these flashpoints that's happening. You have all the stuff that's happening in Ukraine, in the Middle East. All of that is orchestrated by the West, and they have ways and means to start trouble anywhere around the world. And I think they'll be, once they finish with the Middle East, once they finish with the Ukraine, they'll be coming for China again. They've tried it a few times, but it hasn't worked. But I think what they're trying to do is get rid of the threat of Iran, and they tried with Russia, it failed. They will try with Iran, that's going to fail as well. And then after all of that, I think they'll be coming for China. That will also fail, but they're still going to try, I believe. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And but I don't have much hopes about KMT winning, guys. Let me know what you guys think anyway. I just think, yeah, I just think the Americans they're just going to cause too much trouble. They won't allow it at all. So finally, Dubai has come to China, and apparently, on the news is talking about Dubai wants to kind of make a lot of deals with China, and they also want China to basically provide Dubai with security guarantees as well, similar to what America's been giving to Dubai. The problem is this is all a trap, guys. This is all a trap, major trap. So I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Dune, Dune. So there was a book written by Herbert, and I used to read the books when I was a kid, and it's the first book that I read made me understand how politics works. So he wrote the book he based the book on the Middle East on oil. In the book, he talks about spice, and but he actually means oil. And the Dune, the desert planet, is actually the Middle East. The Fremen are the Arabs, and the Harkonnens, the empire, is the American empire, basically. So the American empire has been in the Middle East for a long time now, and they have been causing a lot of trouble. They have been stealing a lot of oil from the region as well. All the governments are pretty much their puppets, and they basically control the region. And then you have the Fremens who are actually fighting back against all the imperialism. These are the Palestinians, these are the freedom fighters like Hezbollah, and you can pretty much call Iran that as well. Iran is also fighting against the imperialism that's happening in the Middle East. So what happened in the books was these freedom fighters eventually drove out America, or drove out the Harkonnens. And just funnily enough, the leader, Baron Harkonnen, in the original books, he looked a bit like Trump. And if you look at the original film made by, I think it was made by I can't remember that famous director's name. There was a movie in the 1980s, David Lynch. Yeah, David Lynch made this Dune movie, the original Dune movie. It's quite good actually. Unfortunately, they made him cut the movie short. It was originally supposed to be 4 hours, and they made him cut it for 2 hours. So they lost a lot of footage. But it's still a good movie. And the Baron Harkonnen, David Lynch made him look like Trump. Basically, he had orange hair like Trump. He was an orange man. He was fat like him. He was a complete madman, and he was also a P. If you know what a P, what I'm trying to say, I can't say it because of the YouTube, issues. But yeah, he's a P and ends with an O, and and basically he just David Lynch and James Herbert, the people who wrote the book, they have completely written the book in a way that you know it's very in modern, you can relate in the modern world. He was written a long time ago, but many of the things he's written is coming true today. So in the books, basically, the resistance groups drive out the Harkonnens, and they get driven out. And it becomes a trap because there's a big security gap that's happened in the Middle East because the Harkonnens have been driven out. So in the books, the House Atreides are asked to come in, and they asked to come in and mine the spice and provide security. And House Atreides are a lot more kind of wiser, and they're not like completely crazy and warlike. And they want to make deals with Fremen. They want to work with them. They want to make deals. They want to trade. They want to do things properly without fighting. And this is modern day China, basically. China wants to trade with the world. They want to make deals. They don't want to fight. They want to kind of do things in a win-win situation where everybody wins. And China is the modern day House Atreides, basically. However, in the book, it ends very tragically because what you see in the Middle East now, there's going to be a massive gap in the Middle East when the Americans leave. When the Americans leave, all the Gulf countries are going to look for security because the oil cannot flow. And in the books, the spice cannot flow if there's no security. There's no point building massive oil refineries and all these other things when they're going to be blown up. So you need somebody to provide you with lots of security, to secure your oil fields and refineries, trade routes, and things like that. So this is where House of Traders came in, and this is where they want China to come in. So if America's been driven out of the Middle East, China will want to come in and plug the gap, provide security to these countries. However, in the books, it doesn't end well you know, for the House of Atreides, or will it end well for China? Because the Harkonnens, even though they've left, they are they want that oil back, and they're gonna use all sorts of dirty tricks to get it back. So they will start blowing up refineries, they will start blowing up ships, they will start blowing up trade routes, and they're going to make it so expensive for the Middle East and for China, and they're going to make things very, very difficult. And in the books, he ends very badly. The emperor who runs pretty much the universe, they ask the Harkonnens to go back in and kill the House Atreides and take over the spice production. So I think this is how it's a trap. If China goes into the Middle East, starts providing security for the Middle East, and I think the Americans are going to cause a lot of issues, cause a lot of they'll start blowing things up. They'll start sending their ISIS and terrorist cells because ISIS and Al Qaeda and all of that. Everyone knows that America, basically funded them. Israel's funded them. All these, terrorist groups and everywhere. And I think they're going to be using that all across the Middle East to make life very difficult for China. So what China needs to do is not going alone. They need to perhaps go in as with obviously Russia, because Russia's got a lot of experience with wars and things, and maybe also go in with Iran as well. So I think together they might be able to provide the security that the Middle East needs, because China will not be able to do it by itself, because America will be making life very, very difficult for China. And yeah, sorry, I had to kind of bring the Dune books in it, but there's a lot of similarities what's happening now in the modern world and what's been happening in the Dune books is very, very similar. Anyway, I'll end it there, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you soon. Take care for now.